Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and a link in the info box once the video has rendered. If you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then join using the link in the info box below this video. Be sure to not swear if you do join the hangout, as you'll be ejected by me, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show, as sharing the show increases the live audience, and this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Arwin. How you doing, Arwin?
Hi, Nathan. Yeah, I'm doing all right. Had a bit of a rough night, but I'm okay now.
Excellent.
So yeah, that was pretty interesting. The hangout the other day with the what is it? The astrophotographer. That was a pretty interesting guy.
Okay. Didn't seem to know his stuff. Had all the gear
he really
and no
did.
idea.
It was really funny because when it first started, it kind of sounded like.
Hi, Poppy. How you doing?
How you going, Peppy? Sorry, it's Peppy Roscoe.
Oh, hey. Sorry, Peppy. Good to have you.
That's fine. That's fine.
What can we do for you, Peppy?
That's Nathan Oakley, is it? Nathan Oakley?
What can we do for you?
Oakley Cord? Oh, nothing. I was just love the show. I've actually listened for a long time, and I haven't actually joined at all, to be honest. But this is the first time, so I don't really know what to say. I'm very nervous, but I'll probably shut up now, and I'll continue later when I can have a say. But thank you very much, Nathan, for having me.
It's a pleasure.
And also, Arwen, I've heard you a lot of times, and I'd just like to say you have a very amazing opinions, and I want to learn more, to be honest, Arwen. And yeah, I just find your opinions amazing, and I think I'd learn a lot from them. So,
oh, well,
yeah.
thank you.
I'll go on mute now, guys, but I'll be here for the duration, and I'm looking forward to the chats. Amazing what you guys are doing too, by the way. Loving it. The St. Bees, everything. I love it so much. It's brilliant. I think we're really going to do something here, guys.
So I take it you're on the flat side of things, or you have not decided yet.
I'd say I'm not too sure. Oh, maybe fence side, to be honest. I'm not too sure, guys, but I'm glad I'm in here, and that's it. Just happy I'm here, to be honest. So let's get this conversation rolling, guys.
Cool.
Anyway, what were you saying, Owen? You had a experience today, or some spiritual thing?
No, I was still referring to the other hangout about the astrophotographer guy. It was kind of funny. He kind of tricked us, I guess, or maybe we tricked ourselves, because it started out like he was really bluffing about it all, and then he actually showed all his equipment on camera, and it was kind of surprising, I guess, to everyone that he really did have all that stuff. That was kind of funny. And
what? Oh, sorry, I think I know what you're talking about. But what do you mean that was funny? Like, why is that funny?
It wasn't expected. He sounded like he was bluffing. Like he was just bluffing to have all that equipment. He didn't know the details of like the brand names. It just sounded like he was making it up on the spot. And yeah, we're used to that kind of thing.
Yeah, fair call. Yeah, as a flat earthy, actually, that's what I actually say. I call us flat earthies. It's a fun little nickname I made up. It's I think it's really fun. I love it so much. Flat earthy. It sounds good, doesn't it? Flat earthy. I love it. Anyway, yeah, but what makes you say that, Arwen? Because he might have just bought it to prove a point, and he might not even know what he's doing, to be honest. But
well, that would be really weird, because it was quite expensive looking, all of that. So then he must have really got into that in a big rush for some reason. But who knows? Like he could be just very interested in the actual hobby itself and not really be a guy that knows all the details by heart. So yeah, it was just a funny mistake that we really thought he was bluffing, and turned out that he actually had all that stuff. And I thought he, for just a very short moment, he even brought up this concept of how light becomes visible between the magnetic spectrum of the Earth and the sun, and that really, yeah, that I thought that sounded really interesting, because hey, what light really is, everybody likes to think, at least on the global side, they know it all, but light really is a mystery in a big way. It's a physical mystery as to what it really is. Scientists still can't make up if it's a particle or a
agree
wave,
with that.
and this just brings it one step closer as to, hey, what is that really? And also it gives hint, if what he was talking about is not just all fiction, if there's some validity to it, then it gives some hints for me to actually get closer to understanding, well, what the sun really is, as I tend to believe that it is purely holographic in nature, which means light-based, non-physical object. And
That's
and
amazing.
that
I mean, actually, can I interject there? I'm so interested in that. Like, as I said, I love everything you say. I've listened to Nathan, or you, Nathan, sorry, for probably day dot, to be honest. But Arwen, you've come along and just blown my mind with facts, and yeah, I'm really onto you, like in a good way. You know what I mean? Like, I'm with you on everything you say, to be honest. But with the hologram, that is how is so if we're shining up a hologram, well, where's the hologram coming from? This is just interest in my mind, Pepe's mind.
Yeah, well,
As
that's the whole trick, isn't it? Where is
yeah,
it
just
coming
so,
from?
and you were saying light bends. Like, I think the only reason, like, say if space is, we're talking about a flat planet, space, sorry. So you know, light will travel around. Space will carry around an object. The light will follow that track around an object, as in a planet, maybe. Light will travel around that, but it's not actually bending. It's actually following a path. You know what I mean? So we're talking about light from the sun bending around something. It doesn't actually bend. It just follows the path. If you understand what I mean. So,
Well,
and when you
light
say a
doesn't just.
hologram, no, hang on. When you say a hologram, so when it's all made of light, it has to be portraying of something. You know what I'm saying? So where's it coming from? Where's the beam that's shining up at that, creating the hologram, and then the hologram has to reflect light to everything. I'm really interested to hear
No,
that
but
from
that
you,
is,
Alan.
yeah, but that concept is based on basically the concept of holograms as we know how to create them. That is like the
So
official definition.
we're
I'm
talking something we don't even understand. So you're
No,
trying to
no, no, no.
basically
It's more
hang on.
conceptual. No,
Can I
listen,
just
it's
hang on?
more
You just interrupted me,
conceptual.
Alan. Can you basically say what you so basically what you were saying, Alan, is oh no, can you just repeat exactly what you just said, please? Sorry. I
Okay,
just want
well,
to get this right. Sorry.
all right, all right. Well, a
No,
hologram
exactly what you said. Yeah, you said
is,
a
by
hologram is
definition,
what we think, by definition, is what we made up as a human species on this earth. So, your hologram in the sky, you can't prove, or you don't even understand how that hologram works. You understand that? Because
now
it's
I'm.
obviously not. Or do you think it's made
So,
by
are you
us?
trolling me now, or are you actually
Not
gonna
at
let me
all.
explain?
No, not at all. No, I'm just so
Because
interested in this.
I
Like,
make a distinct
because I've never
difference
had a chance.
between
I've
a
never had a chance. No,
hologram
this is
and
total respect from
holographic.
Pepe to you, when I've never met you before, and I'm actually a bit nervous, and I'm just trying to spit stuff out because I don't know if I'll get a chance to talk to you again. But I'm really excited that I'm actually on air with you, Arwen. Like, you're an amazing person, and
Okay.
I respect everything you say, and I'm actually on air with you, so I'm actually really excited at the moment. So mind me and mind my mishaps or whatever, mishaps or
Right.
whatever. But yeah, I just want to understand your opinion. So, if the hologram you were talking about as a sun, humans didn't create it, how would you start explaining where that comes from?
Well, first, I'd like to again try to explain that I make a distinct difference between the
Can you just
concept of.
So
Pepe,
that's
Can I
he's
please?
spoken for
Can I
about 13
please?
seconds and you're already interrupting him, Pepe. Just let him answer your question.
I make a
Sorry,
distinct
Nathan.
difference between the concept of a hologram, according to the official engineered concept, as
Hey,
we
David.
can make holograms through reflecting light through lasers, all that things here on Earth. It's something that we learned how to do, and between something that is holographic in nature, which
Let's just
is
say a
more
quick hello,
a
Alwyn.
literal
Sorry to interrupt you.
throwback to the actual meaning
Sorry,
of the
Alwyn, bear
word.
with me. I just need to say hello to David. How you doing, David? You hear us?
Okay. So I'm actually making a distinct difference between holograms as we can make them, the technology concept of how to make holograms, and something that is holographic. And when I say holographic and I refer to the heavenly bodies, I don't mean that it's made like a hologram as we do on Earth. What I mean is basically based on the literal meaning of the words hologram, a image of light. And I'm not saying it is created as a hologram is created like we can do. All I'm saying is it is purely based on light. It's non-physical, and it it does not directly give a hint as to what its source is or how that would even work. I'm just saying it is light. And I'm not all too sure as to how that light is there, has come into being in this world. Although although I have devised some theories as to how that could work, but those are very speculative in nature. So yeah, it's still a mystery to me. And yeah, there are theories that it could be indeed reflected from, for example, the center of the Earth or the center of the disk, as many like to think it out. Or it could be an extra dimensional source and it's just beyond the physical nature of this world. It's coming from through this dimension, from another dimension, a higher dimension. That is also a concept. So
Hello, Sleeping Warrior. How you doing?
I is good. I could have sniped everybody out then. Could have
Is
been
that
a
no? That's brilliant, no one. But the only thing that, like, I'm just trying to understand, because if it does come from an extraterrestrial source, and even
the
humans
extra
know that word
dimension,
up,
not
but if it
extraterrestrial.
does, or extra dimension, how do we explain it? So where do we have the base? I'm just a logical person in flat Earth, so I'm trying to go from a logical state, to explain the flat Earth for our boys and everyone here, because we're all on a team together. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, like you need to explain that, man. And if it's coming from another dimension, you can't explain that, so that's off the table to me.
No, I can
know what I mean?
explain that. I just can't really prove it yet.
Yeah, but that's exactly right. But if you're saying it's coming from a different dimension, a hologram so the sun is a hologram and it's coming from a different dimension. Okay, now we're getting into different territory here.
Well,
You know what I'm
a
saying?
different dimension doesn't need to be like another parallel realm.
But how do you, as a human, explain that with your knowledge on this Earth?
Well, you
flat
basically
plane?
continue the concept of dimensionality. And think of that this
Can you
world
please
is
explain
basically a
dimensionality to me,
three-dimensional
please?
world with three directions. And then there's the fourth dimension. Some don't like to separate it as a separate dimension. I do, as time. And there could be another depth through, like
Can
on
you
top of the
explain
third
that, please?
dimension.
Actually, you just lost me. So when you split two dimensions, I understand that you have time and all.
No, but
in
the
two different
first and the
dimensions.
second
How do you split
dimension
it?
don't conceptually really exist. Those are concepts. We
Yeah, I
are in the
understand
third
this, yeah.
dimension, but
I
it
understand
doesn't
that,
mean
yeah.
that these three dimensions are the only physical spatial dimensions there actually exist. It might just be the type of dimensions that we can perceive with our consciousness in this body, but there may be dimensions through this one.
Okay, so you're
like
bringing
another
in
depth.
So basically, Arwen. I'm actually talking to. I'm just talking on behalf of Nathan Oakley, to be honest, because this is a flat Earth debate.
No need. I'm here. I run the show. You don't need to speak on my behalf. Don't speak on my behalf. I can speak for myself. Please don't speak on my behalf.
Okay, Peppy won't speak for Nathan. Don't worry about that. But
Just speak for yourself.
So Arwen. No, no worries. Peppy will speak for himself. My last name's Roscoe. Peppy Roscoe. And I don't think you can bring that in to the debate, Arwen, because you're talking from another dimension, minus the pun. You know what I mean? Like, you are literally talking from another dimension. You can prove anything from that. So why bring that into the flat Earth debate? If you're going to bring in a hologram,
I'm not bringing that in. You're bringing that in, kind of.
You said the sun is a hologram, isn't that?
No, it's holographic in nature.
From another dimension.
That is a possibility, yes.
Okay, so you cannot
a theoretical
explain that,
possibility. I don't know for sure.
So you cannot bring that into this debate. There's
no
solid evidence of that. No, there isn't.
No, I can bring it in as a concept. As an alternative to those concepts that can clearly be disproven, namely that it is a physical object, which it does not seem to be that.
And you just roll with that concept, and you don't give anyone a chance to speak their mind against your theories.
No, you're starting to sound a lot like a glober right now.
A glober.
You're being very deceptive in your approach. I don't like the tone you're bringing. You seem to start out really complimenting me, but you're constantly interrupting, and now you're starting to change that attitude in a different direction. It's very deceptive of you.
I apologize. I actually just had a bad moment. I was just actually walking around while you guys were talking, and my two dogs were fighting. So I had to break them up and try and feed them as I was talking to you. Okay. So if I just sound deceptive, that's just because I was trying to feed my two dogs, and they're trying to get each other's foods. Plus, I have 3 cats, so I'm trying to keep them all 5 animals away from each other.
We're not hearing any of that through your microphone, but what I am hearing is just the things that you're saying.
Well, that's because I put myself on mute because I'm,
Right.
I try.
Okay, but it's not wrong of me to bring in these concepts, even though they're very hard to prove, or possibly impossible at this moment to prove.
Exactly. So,
but they're concepts, and they're alternative ideas to a concept that can clearly be disproven, and that is the whole thing. It's speculation as an alternative to a theory that is clearly not true, and that is that the sun is a physical object, which it doesn't appear to be. Because of many reasons, which I explained over the last few years in detail.
Hi, the Natsec. How you doing?
How's it going?
Good, thanks. Good to have you.
Wonderful, too easy. How's you guys, Will?
I'm doing fine.
What are you discussing?
Apparently, we're discussing the nature of the holographic sun, basically. And I'm getting some complaints from this new guy about that I'm not supposed to bring this up in the Flat Earth debates for some reason. And I find that very odd that he would say that. Because why wouldn't we? If we're still discovering the nature of the entire world, then why would we not be allowed for some reason to explore these concepts just because it's hard to prove? It's concept, it's bringing up concepts, and that's not a bad thing. It's never a bad thing. It's only a bad thing when you then immediately declare a fictional position to be the reality, and that is not what I'm doing.
So you're
just speculating beyond a certain point, because that is all that I can do at this point.
So
I don't know yet how to proceed in proving the actual source, the nature of the holographic sun. But so it is holographic just by observations and all those things.
So you think it's holographic?
I think it is a light-based phenomena.
Well,
All
I mean,
observations seem to indicate this, and its inapproachability, how
I
it
love that
responds
word,
in
inapproachability.
observations, how it seems to always be the same distance no matter where you are, and as you basically physically follow it, like for example in a plane or in a car, it's always perfectly stationary in relation to the observer, and all those things indicate that it is not a physical object that actually
Well-
changes distance as you move your position in any way. It seems to indicate that it is indeed a holographic phenomena, a light-based phenomena that just rests on the edge of our vision.
well, if you're due to distance, that's why it appear like it's never moving, but it does move. I mean, times of day, for example, but that's because of us, our rotation.
It moves its
Um,
angle, but not the distance to us, not the distance
Yeah,
to the
because
observer,
we're
and neither does the moon.
yes, that's because we're orbiting it. No,
No, but that
the
orbit
moon
is
does change its
fictional.
distance, but very small every year. It's like a few
No,
centimeters or something like
no, it
that.
doesn't.
Oh, no, it does. We empirically know
No.
this because we
No, it doesn't.
went to the. Well, hold on. We did go to the moon,
No.
and we had those blokes. They put down a number of experiments, and one of them, don't know the technical name or details, but reflectors. I'm sure you might have heard it, but there's reflector doobie
Yeah, I
Watsons,
heard about it. It's
and
complete nonsense.
it's very precise in its calculations.
It's
So I
very
don't see how it's
precise
nonsense.
nonsense.
Well, how?
It's nonsense. You can't
But
approach the moon.
how?
If you go up, if the moon were to be appeared to be right over your head, and you would go to it directly in a straight line towards it with great speed, then you would eventually start to notice that it would bend its path, its angle in relation to you, and it would move aside, which is impossible for a physical object to do it like that, because you can't approach it. It's always at the edge of your vision, no matter what you do.
Well, I can look at it directly.
Yes, it will. It will not stay there. It will not grow larger as you approach it. It will move away from
Well,
you.
the closer you get to like the astronauts did, of course it get bigger to them, and Earth gets smaller because they're
But that didn't happen, and there's not even footage of this.
But we've got
There
the
is
guys
no
with the cameras
approach
on
footage.
the
There
moon
is
landing.
no approach footage. There's only the footage looking at the moon from Earth, and then there's the footage of, oh look, we are now close to the surface. There's no approach footage.
Hey P, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I mean,
bad.
I'm sure there is. I don't know how
No,
much
there isn't.
footage it's actually got, but I'm sure there would have been.
Yeah, I'm
And
sure there would have
that-
been, but there isn't.
Well,
Because the moon landing didn't happen. It's all a trickery, deception.
Did they-
It's been quite established.
19 whatever's technology didn't quite cut the cheese.
No, that is
to
complete
trick us.
bogus. There's cameras. There's no reason
Hey,
not to
guys,
film as you're
Can I
approaching
just
the moon.
can I just jump in and just say P Mars looks very adorable and handsome at the moment.
Look at that nose.
We didn't go to the moon. Everyone's correct.
We did go to the moon. But
Okay.
yeah. So
Is there-
we got the-
imagination?
Nah.
So the guys went to the moon. They dropped those laser doobie Watsons down there, the reflectors, amongst other experiments, and we can get accurate measures from that thing. And what we do find is that it is slowly going further away. Now it won't. I don't think it'll ever go to the extent that it would leave Earth's orbit. There's some tricky math and physics involved there that I'm not my area by any means, not even as a layman. But yeah, but it is moving ever so slightly.
We're like
No.
lame,
No,
man.
it's not. It's the exact same apparent size as the sun, as it has always been since the beginning of time.
Size.
Yeah.
we-
The apparent
Its
disk of
size
the
has
moon is the
changed.
exact same size as the apparent disk of the sun, and it always
the-
has
the-
been.
Astronomers
Earth-
can't
so
see
the-
anything that NASA put on the moon, and the Hubble telescope can't see
You
anything
can
that
see the
NASA put on the
rovers, you can see some
moon.
of the experiments and so
Oh,
forth.
then
You
I guess you know more than Google.
Google's a search engine, but you can actually. So there's some
Yeah.
really good
Yeah, that's a
high-res
terrible
images,
statement, P
and
Mars.
you can see some of the rovers and things on there. But
That's total and utter nonsense. Even if you had the Hubble pointing at the moon, its abilities in terms of its optical capabilities are far exceeded by the tiny nature of the things that are on the moon versus the distance. So I actually contacted a observatory here in England and asked them about looking at specifically at the lunar rover, because a friend of mine on Facebook had said that he had been to Goonhilly and specifically asked to see the lunar rover, and they'd showed him on a monitor. So I got in touch with Goonhilly and said, I'd like to see the lunar rover on the moon too, please. And they said, no, you can't. It's too small. Even if you had Hubble pointing at the moon, you wouldn't see the lunar rover. So to assert that you can just see this stuff on the moon with the naked eye or with a telescope is nonsense. You can't even see it if you had Hubble pointing at it.
This guy doesn't know anything. I already debated him.
Hold on, because what was it? P Mars. That's for a different time.
I destroyed this guy on my own channel already.
Just even doing a quick little Google search, it turns out even the Chinese have got extremely fantastic high-res images of the moon surface, and you can apparently see some of the rovers and things on there. So, I mean, even the Chinese, you know, not with the NASA and so forth, have spotted this. So there you go.
There you go.
You should trust the Chinese, but not our local observatory, who says that based on the angular resolution of Hubble, you wouldn't be able to see this stuff on the moon that they've left there.
Well, that might be Hubble, but I don't know about in relation to Hubble. But I mean, there's other satellites that could do that, and other space programs that could do that for sure. Maybe not for Hubble, I don't know, but
your mind is filled with fictional objects that prove all these theories.
Back in September 6, 2011, on NASA's website, NASA spacecraft images offer sharper views of Apollo landing sites, which I'll drop in the side WRTT. You can see the tracks of the flag site, the Challenger descent stage.
Did anyone go to the moon that's not a Freemason who didn't swear an oath of secrecy?
I don't know about Freemasonry, but
I do.
Okay. So that's what I put in the side chat is from the NASA website. But you can see, got the Chinese, maybe the Russians as well, got images of it from their own.
That's all the same group. It's all Freemasons. They're everywhere.
He trusts these psychopaths who like worship Lucifer and eat babies. He just trusts them.
Are you trolling me, people? What the? Clarify, right? You're not trolling me, right?
No, you should read this book, Political Ponerology. It's about how psychopaths rise to power in our society. It's very interesting. Good read. He goes through a lot of scientific studies that you might actually be interested in, because you seem really up the ass of the elite.
The studies are probably deeply flawed, or he misrepresents them. But yeah, so there in the sidebar, and those that are watching, you know, just type into Google, as it says, and you get that September 6, 2011 piece. That's the spacecraft images offer sharper views of Apollo landing site. So we can see from other images what the landing sites are like. And because we went to the moon, we placed in those reflectors, and we got high-tech lasers, we can calculate the distance of the moon. And there's studies on this. So there you go.
I'll just put my screen on. Hopefully the audience can see this. If you're in the Hangout, you'll have to go to the live page to actually see this. So this is my email to Goonhilly, and I'll just read out his reply. The moon is approximately 400,000 kilometers from Earth. That's 400,000 meters. The rover is approximately 2 meters across. That's a ratio of 2 million to 1. 360 degrees times 2 million equals 0.00000018 degree. That's 0.06065 arc second. The angular resolution of the Hubble telescope is about 0.5 arc seconds. So you wouldn't even see the lunar rover using Hubble. Right, that's from the Goonhilly team, a team of professional astronomers with an absolutely enormous telescope. So,
well,
yeah,
maybe from the biggest that one, maybe
the biggest one. It's supposed to be so big you can see far off galaxies that big.
So what these guys used was the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, the LRO. So they didn't use the Hubble So maybe right for the Hubble, I don't know, complex math there, but they used something else, which was specific, it seems, because titled the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter for, well, the moon. So, yeah, we got nice HD quality images, and yeah. We've even got ones that are a bit outdated, and they match up perfectly with the high-res ones. And you can do a little slider thing on the website, and yeah.
That's absolutely fascinating. I just want to point out again that we will never, ever, ever, ever get to see this stuff with our own eyes, and we just have to accept what the LRO presents us with. That's what we have to do, according to you. So there's another mission that's gone up to have a look at this stuff, and we just have to take their word for it.
Yeah, we're saying hey, dude, we're saying they
them.
faked the moon landing. You don't think they could fake this lunar whatever satellite taking pictures?
The onus on you then is to prove that the images and so forth are fake. Indeed, that would be up to you. If I offered you photo, video footage, or whatever, so for example, we do know it's possible to a limited extent to manipulate the video footage of someone giving a speech. There's a team of researchers in Oxford, I think, that manipulated footage of Obama giving different speeches and so forth. But would have to do computer forensics and all that technical stuff to identify which is the fake and which one's real and so forth. I don't see anyone in the flat Earth movement doing anything like that with regards to...
We can't prove the NASA footage is fake because they lost it, remember?
When they lost it.
So nobody has actually falsified all that footage and all those photos.
Seems so, yeah.
It's like there's no flat earthers that have spent hundreds of hours they have outputted hundreds of hours of video material proving every freaking detail about what is completely wrong about that picture and why it's basically recorded in the studio. They even backtracked certain locations in the United States as to where certain specific footages have been taken and all that stuff. But that's just not important, right? Because, hey,
I doubt they have what they think
CGI stuff and it's online and it's so extensive it must be true, right?
No, it seems basically what they're doing is conjecture. Well, this looks a bit funny, therefore CGI, and sort of actual, technical know-how going through editing software and all types of issues that IT people do and so forth to show if something's fake or not. You just don't see that. So yeah, the moon landing happened. We've got experiments on there. We've recorded those. We have those people that look into the distance of the moon and so forth. They calculate that data down. They write it down, publish it, and so forth for different science topics and fields with earth science and so forth. So we've got the data there.
Every time you say we, it seems like you're very much identifying yourself with this group of people that you don't really know if they really did that. So
humanity went to the moon. That's a very...
Yeah, but can I just jump back to Arwen's theory about a hologram of the sun coming from another dimension? So how dare you say that to him when you said that?
I said it's a concept.
So yeah, well, what's this? That's interesting. So this thing of the sun being a hologram.
Yeah, let's get on that. Let's keep talking about
holographic. Yeah. It's a holographic in nature. It's light based, non-physical.
Well, it does give off light. Yes.
We don't even know it gives off light. It seems to be a visible disk, and there is light coming from that direction.
Because of the sun, yes. It's giving off heat, yes.
No. That's not the case.
So what causes?
I mean, now we're in a fairy tale.
What causes heat is light actually hitting physical surface. That is what causes heat. It's not the sun. It's the light.
But those light rays. If those light rays do that, like if I was to when I sunbake, what's going on?
You're getting hit by light.
Yes, from the sun.
From from a hologram from another dimension.
No, the disc, what you see there, that is just what it is. It's a disc. It's an optical disc, is what you get to see. You don't know that it is actually like a lamp that causes that light. It doesn't seem to act like that.
Where are you getting the UV rays from to burn your skin? Because if you're saying light shines out of another dimension, how can it have the heat and power to produce UV rays to actually burn a human skin on Earth?
Well, it's just the wavelength, the wave.
No,
length.
Arwen. I'm talking to Arwen here.
Yeah, no, but I'm just clarifying. Yeah, it's just the difference in
No,
length.
let him answer before he gets more time alone.
Sorry, what
I think
did
you
you
repeat
ask?
it to him. Yeah.
You didn't even hear it. That's great. Yeah,
I heard something, but it was kind of mumbled.
He's asking about how, if
Yeah,
it's a
typically.
hologram, how can you get sunburn?
Basically, yeah.
Well, if it is light,
if it's light from another
just
dimension,
because it looks
we're
like
talking
it's
about
a
what
disk
you
out
said.
there doesn't mean that that is the source of the light. Light,
Okay, so
even
forget
if the
forget
source
holographic
is
sun, then.
invisible
Where's
to
the,
you,
where's the heat coming
like
from?
for
Where's the UV
example,
rays
pure
coming from?
radioactivity still has an impact on physical matter when it hits. So that's just how light works.
Okay, so no, can I just get this straight? So your belief of the flat Earth, Arwen, the sun doesn't go round, so it's a hologram. So you have to explain where UV rays come from then.
Well, from wherever this light is coming from.
What light? The holographic sunlight or a different thing?
No, but the holographic aspect of it is that disk we see. I'm not saying that there is light coming from the hologram. I'm just saying that that sun disk that we see is holographic in nature. What I'm basically saying is that light could technically be just coming from a universal direction, and it seems to be focusing in our view as a disk at the center point of that universal direction.
What is a universal direction in your mind?
Well, what it is, a universal direction, just like gravity has a universal direction.
Hang on a second, no, but you don't believe in gravity, so leave that out of it.
Here you go with your assumptions again. Oh, I don't believe in. You know everything about me, don't you? You absolutely know everything.
I've just learned from what you've said.
No, you haven't. You're assuming something based on what you've learned about what general flat earthers are saying, and you're saying, oh, that is what I think. No, I actually made hangouts, total hangouts, completely dedicated to why gravity does actually exist.
Okay, that's beside the point.
Okay, explain it now. We're not going to take the time to go and see the hangouts.
So the point. Get back to the light thing, though. So you think light is omnidirectional?
Omnidirect? No, I'm saying it's coming. The sunlight, for a better lack of term, is coming from probably a universal direction, and we just see it as this focal point.
What do you mean
as
by
a sun disk?
Well, that's the thing, though. What do you mean by if it's multi-directional, right?
No, it's not multi-directional. No, it's not multi. It's one directional. It's a universal direction,
isn't it?
Well,
okay, yeah. So I just corrected you there. So it's
just coming from one direction.
And explain
one direction from the sun.
Okay, universal.
No, not from the sun. The sun is just the focal point. It's the center point.
When you say
of that direction.
Can I just please have a minute of your time, please? When you say universal direction, is this on a flat plane or a globe? That changes everything.
No, it doesn't matter. It's not related.
Okay, well that's
the globe of the heavens, all that holographic phenomena out there is completely unrelated to the actual physical shape of the Earth.
Okay, so your opinion, where do UV rays come from? This holographic light source from another dimension, or explain where you think you get sunburn from? Because there's what is that light? You know what I mean?
Well, you get sunburn from
explain that to me.
That UV radiation actually hitting your skin.
Yeah.
From where? From where?
From out there.
Where is it coming from? From
but
out
what's
there.
The source?
Okay, so you have nothing.
Well, probably from another dimension, from the extra dimension. But I think that it actually enters. It enters our realm through a universal direction at which the sun apparent disk is the focal point, is the center point of the direction.
Everyone just saw you stumble across.
Yeah, why don't you just cut out? Why don't you know what I'm
talking about? I explained this many times. You just refuse to hear it, and you declare me insane and all that stuff. Doesn't matter to me. I don't care. I don't care what you think about it.
This is the first time I've met you. So I don't understand
No,
what
I
you're
don't
saying
believe that's
you're-
true. I think you're very deceptive.
Owen, why don't you just throw the garbage or this stuff coming from another dimension and just say it's from this gas ball of molten lava? Whatever the fuck
No,
it's
but
made out of.
that's
probably
just
more
not true
amazing.
because that
Heavy
would indicate
metals
that's a
and-
physical
Probably more
object and it
amazing.
doesn't behave like a physical object.
Well, how do you mean it doesn't behave as a physical
What,
object?
to
What does
you?
that mean?
I keep on explaining it and you just don't hear it. Sorry, that's not my problem.
No, your
It
response is
must be
like
the Wi-Fi.
optics and so forth
must
and
be
all
the
that.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, but we're not actually hearing like why it's not solid. So like we mentioned, like no matter where you go on Earth, it looks like the same shape. That's because it's a ball. No matter what side I'm looking at a ball, it's going to appear to me as a
It's
circle,
not
right? Because it's a ball.
It's a disc.
It's a ball, but it
No,
appears as
it's
a
a
disc.
disc. The ball is in your mind.
Dawn Treader.
Just
I-
like
hold
the
on,
globe
hold on,
Earth, it's all
one second,
balls
guys.
in your mind. That's the
Hold on.
problem.
Hold
If I
on.
was to give you a
Hold
soccer
on.
ball,
Hold on.
Uh,
Hello, Dawn Treader. How you doing?
Hi, Nathan. Hello,
to have
everyone.
yo,
Confirmation ballist.
There you go, man.
if I was to hold a soccer ball about 10 meters in front of you, right? To you, it's going to look like a circle. But if I was to throw it at you, it's a ball, right?
So just out of interest, the NatSec, when have you ever in your entire life actually got a view of the Earth from your own perspective? When have you seen the Earth as a ball with your own two eyes?
Oh, whose is that voice? I haven't heard that voice.
That's Oakley's.
Oh, okay.
But if I've seen it as a ball with my own two eyes, is that the question?
Wow.
Yeah, I'll say it again. Normally when someone repeats the question I ask them, it's because they're buying a little bit of time to think of an answer. So I don't mind buying that time for you. So I'll ask you again. When have you personally seen the sphere Earth with your own two eyes?
I was standing on Hamilton Island, and I literally saw it. But hey, no one's gonna believe me.
I can't hear you muttering.
With me personally, no, I haven't. 'Cause I haven't been to such altitudes. I've been to space and so forth. I wish I was.
Me.
With my own
That's
two
Hello,
personal
argument
eyes,
there, Oakley.
with my own two personal eyes, seeing the
That's a
curvature of the
poor,
Earth, not
poor
so
argument,
much.
Oakley.
No, but just because
Now
I
we're
haven't
going back
been
to the curvature. So
but just
because you
because I
think you
haven't
saw a
been- hold on,
curvature,
hold
that
on,
means
hold
that
on.
you saw the ball Earth with your own two eyes. That is
No, Owen.
No,
That wasn't what I
Owen,
said.
Owen.
That personally,
How dare
Owen,
you.
that isn't what
How
I
dare
personally
you, Owen,
said.
say
But
what you just said.
I clearly
and then
said that with my
criticize
own-
other people.
Hold on, Peppy. With my own two eyes, no, I haven't. Right? I've been up in an airplane. I've been on the window side and so forth. I can't recall if it would have been so minute the curvature you wouldn't be able to really tell, right? Cool beans. Have been to
No,
space.
no,
have
we
I
went
been
through all that. That's
have I
not
been,
true.
Have I been into one of those high, really high altitude jet planes that some people go into, and you can actually see the curvature of the Earth? Those real high up ones, like you're almost bordering space type thing. No, of course I haven't.
So just to be clear to the audience, this guy has never ever in his entire life seen the ball, yet is happy to give us examples of looking at a basketball to describe how Earth should look, which to me is so disingenuous and so dishonest and so nonsensical it's untrue. You've never seen the ball Earth with your own eyes. You've got absolutely no right whatsoever to assert that we've been to the moon. None of the stuff that you're asserting is verified by you. None of it. You're just asserting this crap from incredulity. You haven't got a clue. You haven't seen the ball Earth, you haven't been to the moon, you haven't done any of this stuff. Why you keep asserting it over and over again, and then whilst explaining that you haven't been to see the Earth, you're explaining that other people can do it from high altitude planes. So, you know, it's an absolute outrage that you're asserting this stuff from complete incredulity. You've never, ever, ever seen the Earth with your own eyes. That's never happened.
How dare you say that? It's crazy.
Peppy, hold on.
Yeah, that's
Hello,
crazy
Meg.
what you
How you
just said,
doing?
Nathan.
Can you hear us?
Hey, yeah, can you hear me?
Wow, yeah, you're really loud.
Yeah, so he was talking about the sun, Nathan. You can stop being so dishonest.
You're really
Yeah,
loud.
but the point is, I've never been to America, but I know America exists. Right?
What? How do you know that?
I've
You
never
don't
seen
know
it
that?
with my own
Have you
two eyes.
seen videos or
Peppy,
photos of
hold
America?
on,
No,
Peppy.
you're wrong.
Peppy,
You're
hold
wrong.
on.
Have you
So-
seen a video?
Yes, I
How
know
can
you're.
you say a video is right?
sarcasm's real.
I'm trolling.
I
you,
know.
man, yeah.
I know you are. But yeah, Oakley and everyone else is watching. I've never been to America and I've seen it with my own two eyes, but I know it's there.
Right, plenty of people have been to America. Someone else did this example with me with Fiji and said, well, I've never been to Fiji. Can you prove that Fiji exists? Nonsense. Hands up those on the
That's
panel
how
who
you're
have
running.
hands up those on the panel who have seen the sphere Earth with their own 2 eyes?
Shout out to
Yeah, but
Catter.
that's a
That's a non-argument.
disingenuous thing because you can't even see the hands up anyway, Oakley.
Yeah.
So
It's not the reason why it's
saying
not an argument is, again, like I've never been to America, I still not exist, right?
So is that a no? Nobody on the panel has seen the Earth as a ball? Not one person.
Have you seen the curve or the
No,
flatness?
definitely not. There is no curve to Earth. I have definitely never seen it. And whenever we go out and measure it, we're told to imagine that there's one and then do the maths to account for why we don't see one. So no, to answer your question, I have absolutely, unequivocally, never, ever in my entire life seen a curve. In much the same way that you said that you'd been up in a plane and you hadn't seen the curve either. And then you asserted that other people had.
It's not relevant, Nathan. It's not relevant.
Oakley,
Sorry, Neg. Have you seen the sphere Earth with your own 2 eyes, Neg?
have you seen the edge of the Earth with your own 2 eyes?
No, neither of you,
Well, there
neither
you
has
go.
anybody on the panel.
I
That's
know
my
I have.
point.
There
There is
point.
no edge, you dummy.
That's my
This
point.
is just a
More than you've seen
standard
the flat
fallback argument.
I'm using his own
Ridiculous.
argument
There
against
is no
him,
edge.
Darwin.
You keep on bringing up this
We
edge
have pictures from
like that
space,
means
remember?
anything.
You don't have anything like that.
I'm pretty
The
sure
point-
there is no edge.
Arwen, the point I'm using is his own argument against him, essentially, right?
No,
It's
your
that he's
argument
never
is
seen-
an escape
he's never
into
seen-
solipsism. It's like,
he's
oh,
never
we
seen-
haven't
No,
seen the
it's not.
globe Earth with
Like
our own eyes, so we fall back
he-
to, hey, I haven't been to this location on
It's
Earth, so it
using
can't
his
exist.
own
And that's your
argument.
argument why it's
Arwen.
okay to believe in a
Arwen.
ball Earth when you haven't seen it with your own 2 eyes.
Jesus. Yeah, I'm using his argument against him
Yeah,
directly.
No, you're not. You're using
If
a
he
deflection.
said, I've never seen the Earth, as I said that I've never seen the curvature of the Earth, that he just admitted himself that he's never seen the edge of the Earth. Well, how can he assert that the Earth is danced like a disc?
Can I ask?
It works
He
both ways.
doesn't. You keep
Right,
on
Arwen.
assuming
He just
this
said
stuff.
that.
No, so I did not at any stage say that the Earth was a disc. What I did absolutely say unequivocally that nobody has ever seen any curvature. Ever. Because it doesn't exist. There is no curvature. And whenever we take images, it appears to be completely flat. There's no left to right curve at the ground, even though there should be one that's measurable.
No,
There's
there
no
shouldn't be
curve
left
from
to
high
right curve on the
altitude.
ground.
Yep. Hey,
That's-
Arwen, have you seen the other dimensions that the sun's light comes from?
Sorry, Neg, have you ever seen the Earth as a sphere
Yeah,
with your
I'm
own 2
sorry.
eyes?
Hey, goodbye, Nathan. Do
mean
you want to ask
goodbye?
an honest question?
Sorry, have you ever seen the Earth with your own 2 eyes?
Do
As-
you want
as
to
a sphere?
have an honest
Obviously, of course he
conversation?
has. Just look out the window now.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I have. Sure,
You've seen the Earth as a sphere?
I have.
When did you see the Earth as a sphere?
All of
Describe
these
it to
people
me.
have.
How
You've
did
seen
you get to see
When
it?
he put
Hold on, Arwen.
his
Hold on, let's hear
lenses,
Neg
that's
tell
when-
the audience how he's seen the Earth as a sphere.
Actually, I'd like to know when Arwen saw
Let's
the
just
other
hear you
dimensions.
tell the audience what you've just claimed. I want to hear you tell the audience when and how you saw the Earth as a sphere.
Sure. When I hear Arwen tell me when he saw the other dimension.
No, I make the rules here. You tell me when you saw it as a sphere. You've just told me yes, I've seen it as a sphere. Now I want you to detail that.
No, I'll wait.
No, I won't wait. I'm going to keep asking you till you tell me what you've just... Right, so Dawn Treader, you're going to get ejected for
I'll
muting
wait.
me.
I'm good. Thanks.
Complete prick.
Yeah, well, then don't make stupid statements.
Right,
that
that'll
you
be the
can't
last
back
time you
up
come on the
because
show,
you haven't
Dawn.
seen the Earth as a
Absolutely
sphere.
outrageous.
Right. So you haven't seen the dimension the sun's light comes from.
Don't try to join
I
again,
might have.
Dawn.
You
So,
have-
I'll ask again. When did you see the Earth as a sphere? Describe how it happened, please, Neg.
No, I said I'll wait, Nathan.
No, I'll keep asking until you answer me. When did you see the Earth as a sphere? Is that just a lie?
That's not going to make for a very good show, now is it?
I'll
It's
keep
gonna make
asking
a
you
great
till you
show,
tell
it's
me the
lovely.
answer. You've just told the audience that yes. I asked very specifically, have you seen the Earth as a sphere with your own 2 eyes? You said yes. I want you to now detail how and when you saw it.
Right, but I'm going to wait for...
You seem to be
Arwen to answer
stuttering.
the question.
I just want a straight answer of how and why you saw the Earth as a sphere.
No, thanks.
No thanks. Well then, sod off. Get out of my hangout. What are you doing here?
Hey, if you can't answer, just retract it. Retract it, you dummy.
Bye-bye, Neg. don't assert things that are untrue and incorrect. Hello, Jason. How you doing? Johnson?
Dawn again. Hi, sorry.
Get out, Dawn. Don't mute me in my own hangout. Don't expect to return. Stupid idiot.
Wow.
So, glad we've established firmly beyond any doubt that nobody on this panel has seen the Earth as a sphere. None of us. Not Neg, not Dawn, not Natsec, none of us.
Well, the thing is, yeah, I can admit that with my own 2 eyes, yes. But as Dawn was trying to point out, we've got other methods to do so. And that's why I flipped the question back onto you, which you freely admitted, though, that you haven't seen the edge of the Earth. So it doesn't get you anywhere. Like, again, I haven't seen it.
Sorry, at what stage did I claim that Earth has an edge?
So what? Okay, then let's clarify then. Do you think this flat plane just keeps on going, or because naturally I assumed, I could freely admit, naturally I assumed you thought it was like a wafer, right? Like
you want me to explain the possibilities?
I'm asking Nathan.
Nathan, can I explain for you?
It's his worldview. I'm asking him. So Nathan, so yeah, what do you think? Does it keep on going forever? Is it contained? What's the go for you?
What's the question?
Well, do you think this plane of existence, this Earth thing that we're sitting on as flat, does it keep on going indefinitely, or is it contained? Does it have a limit? Does it have an edge? What's the go to you? What do you think?
I don't know. I don't have an answer to that.
Oh, okay. Well, then me asking that question is moot. Okay, cool. Fair enough then.
No, but I can actually answer your question with options of what it could possibly be, if you'd like that.
Sure, go for it.
All right. Well, there are several possibilities. One, there can be a dome surrounding us. I'm personally not in favor of this. I don't think there is really a physical dome that surrounds us. It would be an absolute requirement that there be a containment somehow to keep the air pressure up. Because if there was an infinite plane out there, then the air would either be incredibly unstable, as a near unlimited space would cause a near unlimited turbulence. So it's very likely that there is a containment of some kind. So it is either a dome or, as my personal model suggests, it's looping. There is a looping confined space, and thus there is a form of infinity in that sense, but infinity within a confined space. And then the spatial confinement would be the container. And there would be no edge, because if you walk one way, east or west, you just end up at the same spot eventually. And this could also be the same north and south, and maybe even up and down.
Well, if you keep going in one direction, then you would be looping around, implying some kind of...
No, but that around thing, that is your speculation about it.
Well,
because the Earth is flat. You don't need to go around anything. You just go in one direction and you end up
but it would have to have
where
a
you
bend
started,
of some
because
sort,
there's a loop. Think of the train stations of the Matrix.
Like the infinity symbol, right? How it's not a circle, but it keeps looping around. Cool.
No, but
cool
the infinity symbol is not. That is suggesting that there is a curved pathway of some kind. In this case, that would not be the case. It's just you go in one direction. Think of it as your computer screen. If you just program in that if you go on left enough and you go to the edge of your screen and you end up at the right of your screen, that is the type of loop that a rectangular looping flat Earth would be like.
You get teleported? Okay, but...
No, you don't get teleported. It's just interconnected.
Fireball, can you
There's
hear
a
us?
spatial interconnection
Hello,
there.
how you doing, Fireball? Can you hear us? Hello? Sorry to interrupt.
Arwen, that's not nice word solid, but in any case, with the dome.
It's a solid.
Okay, I just want to address the first one, the first option. You only gave two. The first option being a dome. What's it made out of? Glass? I mean, you said freely that you subscribe to it.
Doesn't need to be
exactly, but
it could be,
for example,
hey, it's just an option. The dome is a concept. I personally don't subscribe to it.
I just said that you didn't exactly. But for those that do partake in that model, right? I would ask them, instead of, well, have they seen the edge of the Earth? Have they seen this thing that's
the edge of the Earth is a medieval myth.
Yeah, there's still people
Yeah.
that would buy into that.
Yeah, because, well, people that don't really think about a lot of things,
But these
they
are
fall
flat
for that kind of thing
earthers.
very easily. And look, because of perspective, you get this slant,
Hello,
which
Jim Benson. Can you
Globers
hear us?
mistakenly
Hello, can
see
you hear
as
us,
the
Jim
curvature.
Benson?
You get this apparent edge after which things fall because of refraction. And if a ruler would just tell the people, look, that is the edge right there, you can see it. After that, you can't see anything because everything drops down. And these people don't have telescopes to actually zoom in and see what is there. Then, yeah, they might be easily convinced that that is the edge of the Earth.
Get down.
That's how that works.
Eleanor.
It's a
You're so-
psychological trick.
Get down.
See, that's something I agree with you there, Arwen. See, I think you're a very smart person. That's what I was saying before. Like, and don't take that as a joke. Like, I'm not trolling you at all.
Oh, that's
I
fine.
actually believe that, but I'm just actually yeah. You brought something up actually. I got a question for you, and if you could answer this straight away, please.
Shoot away.
Or with time, whatever. Just say we lived on a flat, like we do live on a flat planet, right? So
It
just
appears to
say
be so, yes.
yeah, well, I think we do. You know, honestly, I literally wake up. I wake up right from my beauty sleep, and I look out the window, and the world is flat. Like to me, I look at my little. I only have a tiny window. You know what I mean? Like it's It's only 4-panel glasses. You know what I mean? But I look out there and I see it's flat. You know what I mean? I went up on a 2-story building, and I was like, holy shit, I cannot see curve. Like, I can't believe this. Like, I cannot see curved at all. I can't see curved, but I'd love to see curved. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
But,
It's programmed in our psyche. We love curves. That's why we like
Exactly,
them
but
so much.
I just can't see. But anyway, so just say, if hypothetically, if if we lived on a globe, sorry, what would the horizon line look like if we lived on a globe?
Well,
what would you think of that?
the horizon line would probably roughly look the same, except
True.
beyond the refraction point, because then things in the distance would drop down a lot further. And they don't. It keeps on going in a straight line after that first slant caused by refraction, which bends light up.
True that.
And after that
Yeah,
point,
right.
it just keeps on going in a straight line. And on an actual curve, on a physical curve, it would keep on dropping exponentially. And it doesn't.
Because that's fair. Cool. No, that's fair enough. Yeah, I totally agree. But I heard this silly baller, like, you know, those silly fucking ballers and shit. Those silly ballers, they were saying, or globers, whatever you want to call them. I just can't stand them, mate. Have you?
You don't have to pretend like you're a flat
you a
earther. I
cat
know
or a
you're a
dog?
glober, dude. But keep on going.
I wouldn't label me anything, to be honest. But,
No,
you know,
you
can
don't.
label
I
me
don't need
whatever.
to label you. It's pretty obvious.
Well, in either case. So, I mean, shit.
Anyway, so if it was a flat Earth, wouldn't it be, you know, wouldn't the horizon line would definitely look different? And from your perspective of left and right, it would probably curve up, I would say.
Nope.
Maybe.
No,
Who
it
knows?
wouldn't.
How do you know?
Because it doesn't. It wouldn't curve up. Now, why would it curve up? There's no logical
that's
necessity for that to do that.
But that's a logical opinion, and that's your
No, there's just optics. And optics basically proves, as we
And
have been
actually, I need to
experimenting,
interject, and
that
I'm
light
very
bends upwards.
insulted
That's the
as you
standard
called me that,
refraction.
by
It's
the way.
it's universal. And if light bends upward, that means that what you get to see slants downward slightly after a point. It doesn't bend upwards. That's non-standard refraction that only occurs in very specific situations, namely very hot locations, like on a not on the ocean. That wouldn't be hot enough. Thank God it wouldn't, because then we have a problem. But say like on a straight desert, say on the Nevada desert, on the salt flats, that is a typical location where non-standard refraction would occur. And then another type of thing occurs, and then light actually
Nothing
does
from the salt
bend
would come
down.
off it, though,
And
to
that
come
causes
out.
mirages, actual mirages.
So nothing.
So we are coming up on approximately 1 hour left on this live stream. Hope you're enjoying the debate thus far. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it's live, and a link in the info box once it has rendered. Most importantly though, if you'd like to join the panel, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. There are a couple of rules in the Hangout. Number 1, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are ejected, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show, as sharing the show increases the live audience, which in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel, or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. As I say, there is approximately 1 hour left on this live stream.
Anyway, thank you, Nathan. And yeah, I'm very insulted. I'm not actually a glober, so can you please apologize to me, because I actually found that a bit insulting. Because I don't know, actually, you keep saying these words like you and your. It's like I
Now,
haven't spoken to
I'm
anyone,
basically
and I haven't
basing
had
my
a
statement
chance to
on
speak to any of
the
you
way
guys.
that you speak and on your methodology and
No,
how you
because I'm
approach
very
me.
skeptical on this stuff. I'm basically. I
Yeah,
want
but
to
you're being
be.
very skeptical towards the flat Earth side very specifically, and not
No. I'm being just to you, because you're talking about holograms, and it's a
no,
step
not
above
just
my head.
towards
Yeah,
me.
so
No.
if it's a hologram, it has to have a source of light to be like a hologram. I mean, is it
Yeah, but that comes from another
basically
dimension, doesn't it, Owen? Which dimension
Could
though?
be.
The fifth?
Yeah, probably.
how do you
Probably, yeah.
what if I say something's got the properties of X? I can't just conclude that these properties come from somewhere else, right? I can't just then go, okay, well, it has these X properties, whatever they may be, are therefore extra dimension. I mean, bro.
Well, with light, that may actually be more a possibility. There's also physicists that research the nature of light, and quantum mechanic people that do actually speculate that light has extra dimensional properties, but that's a whole matter entirely. All I'm saying is that, hey, if it's not a physical object, because it's very provably not a physical object because of observations, because how it responds, because how it appears,
I mean, and light
then
doesn't have
indeed it
mass.
must
That's
come from
true.
somewhere else. But if you can't find the source, if you can't
It-
trace that back
it
within
has-
our third dimension, then the only
Think of it like a
explanation
light
left
bulb.
is that it is extra dimensional.
Well, think of it like a light bulb, right? You turn that
You
guy
keep on
on,
bringing
and
light
it
bulbs are physical
radiates
objects.
light. Yeah,
You can actually
yes, but
approach them.
hold up. So, I've got a light bulb. Cool. Turn it on. It's emitting light, heat, and it's a physical thing, right? But it's got all those properties you subscribe to the sun would be of the sun or the star, except for a few things like having its own would have a magnetic field, but a very, very, very weak one. But other physical properties would be different. Like it's not like a multi-layered. I'm gonna sound incredibly stupid here, but molten. Oh fuck! Here we go.
According to the
Metals and
official
stuff, right?
heliocentric.
So there's a bit of swearing going on in the Hangout. I'll say big shout out to They Lie Ohio. Says congrats for moving away from the Isle of Man. We will come back to it, I promise.
I mean, it's not some. I mean, it's got gas coming off it, and I'm going to ignore that. Because
No,
I'm
the
not caught up in its
official
actual physical
heliocentric theory is that it is a giant hydrogen ball of gas. That you,
I mean,
you gotta learn your own stuff there.
I mean, this isn't really my forte. It's quite a boring topic to an extent. But I mean, it does fusion and so forth, right? So think of it like basically how the Earth's core works, but on a much bigger scale, right? It's not just gas, because
Yeah,
Earth's
but
core
that's
is made
also
of
a theory.
gas.
There is no Earth's core.
Well,
And by the way, just so you know, actually molten iron, it's not magnetic. It's not
Iron
susceptible
or
to
iron?
magnetism.
It's kind of
So
ironic, isn't it?
because
Well,
iron
yeah,
is
what
not
it is.
susceptible to magnetism after a certain point. I think it was 700 degrees. That doesn't even work. It can't work.
It does because
Iron is
Earth has
only
a magnetic
susceptible to
field.
magnetism if it is in a solid state.
Earth. Well, I mean, it's not just molten iron and so forth. It's a whole bunch of other things.
Yeah, but no
this is how
no
this is how we
metal
know.
is susceptible to magnetism.
Yeah,
if
that's-
it's molten. It doesn't make any sense.
They have a theory that there's this rock that's full of water around the iron core called, what is it called, like ring, I forget the name of the rock. And there's, anyways, it's this there's this like huge ocean of water in this rock that causes the magnetic the magnetism.
So how's that
Magnetic
water
shield.
contained within this rock, within a Earth's core that's so incredibly hot around it that it would melt metal? That doesn't make any physical sense. The water would just it would
It got
explode.
like stuff like the mantle and the inner core, outer core, and lower mantle and upper mantle, all that fun stuff. Yeah. So how all that stuff works, basically the sun on a much larger scale. That's it, basically.
Yeah, but the problem is it doesn't work. So it's very
How does it not work?
stupid to compare
This
it to
is
the sun
well
because it
established.
doesn't work on Earth. So it couldn't
Yes, it does.
possibly even remotely work on the theoretical sphere sun.
It does work on,
No,
on
it
our
doesn't.
scale, though. We've even got the theory of plate tectonics, for example, where that works fantastic to explain earthquakes and other such events, and of course, naturally, volcano eruptions and such. Oh, okay, hold on. So, what do you think? Well, hold on. What do you think then spews out of a volcano? Then, actually, that's an actual question.
Yeah, they
on this
can
issue.
actually.
I have a theory about volcanoes. I have a special hangout dedicated to how volcanoes might
Like,
work.
Because
I've heard.
I remember a quote.
Can I
Sorry,
talk?
Pep, I remember a
Can I
quote
talk?
from a friend. Before
Can I
you do, sorry.
talk?
Before you do,
talk?
I want to
Like,
just
can I
point out
talk?
at this.
Can I talk?
Jesus Christ, Count.
Can P. Mars talk for a moment, please?
Hey, where's
Before
our
you
Nathan?
do
Where's
that-
your
Yeah,
moderation?
if you can,
Like-
if you can let
Before we
P
go-
Mars get a word in, I'm just going to do a quick shout out to Sleeping Warrior, who says, "Long live the Isle of Man." So yeah, if you can just let P get a word in, that'd be great.
So if we
just-
go on,
I just
there's
like-
a fantastic quote by my mate back in year 6, and that is,
Guys,
Yeah,
Things
that
of-
doesn't mean can you start a new little anecdote. That means can you let P speak for a few seconds?
yeah, well, I'm about to wrap up. It's a quick
No
sentence.
one's listening to you.
Literally,
P,
I
I
wasn't
know
listening
you've
to
heard
you.
about the ass whooping I gave to you in your own hangout, but
You didn't
that's for
give me
another
an
day.
ass whooping.
So think of pimples. Think of volcanoes like the pimple of the Earth. So if you could, Owen, explain to me how you think a volcano works, that would be fantastic.
No, I'd
Nah,
rather
so,
hear
I
just what
respect
P.
you, man,
Mars
but
has
that's
to
a bad
say.
analogy.
Me
So-
too.
Hang
I'd
on,
rather
think
hear
of
what
it
P
like
Mars has
this.
got to say.
Hang on, let Peppy have a little say of this. Think of we think of, I know it's all fake, but just think, Big Bang happens, or just an explosion happens. Everything's molten lava, as your little lava theory in volcano. So
No,
think
that's
of the
not how the
ball
Big Bang
Earth.
works. It's usually
No, hang
just
on,
plasma.
think of the
the
ball Earth.
lava comes in much later.
Oh, so now you're agreeing with that theory? That's funny how you said
No,
that.
No.
I'm actually
Didn't even let me
understanding
talk.
how
No,
the
yeah,
theory
Why
you
would you
is
do
supposed
that?
to
Why
work.
would
Yeah,
him
you
knowing
do.
how the theory
Anyway,
works
so
better than
why
you
would there
means that he
be
doesn't
a
mean he
molten
agrees with
rock
it? Why would you do that?
flying
Why would
through
you assert
space?
that just because he
Because the
understands the
crust
theory
is
doesn't mean he
cooling down
agrees
like
with it?
the universe
Why would you
is
assert
cooling
that?
down. In the middle of this rock, it's molten. So the crust of our Earth is flying through space. Everything's cooling down. The universe is cooling down. So in the middle of a rock flying through space is going to be the hottest point. The crust of a rock flying through space, because everything is cooling down. The top of the Earth the crust is going to be cooling down. Everything's cooling down. So in a billion years' time, the middle of our Earth is going to be cool. So there's going to be no molten rock. Think about that.
Yeah, I thought about it. It's ridiculous. Why
Yeah.
why would air stick to a ball in an infinite vacuum space? Doesn't make any damn sense. So
Yeah. Very cool, Alan. Yeah, I don't even know what to say to that, to be honest, but I will say I was going to hold back, but your theories don't make sense. Are you kidding me? You don't have anything
Hello, is
to
that the
bring
real
to the
Arev?
table
How you
because-
doing, Arev? Can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Nice
Yeah,
to
you're
have
in your car,
the
yeah,
real
yeah.
you.
Hey, Arif.
yeah,
Long time no see.
Good to have you.
hey, I
You
know,
want to hear what
we
P.
can
Mars has to
talk
say
about
right now.
we can argue all night how my
Can-
pants.
I really want to hear what P. Mars has to say.
They're
He's been
actually
waiting
grey,
for almost
so
5
try and
minutes now. I
argue
want to hear
that
him
they're
out.
Blue, mother.
Hey, P. Mars.
Hey, what's up? I was just gonna say, I hear flat earthers say that we don't know what's under the earth, because we can only drill I don't know the exact number, like 8 miles down.
Middle.
Or
Can I just correct you? Middle.
7 miles.
Middle. It's actually 8, Arwen. You got
Is
that
it?
wrong,
Oh,
buddy.
I did some.
Oh, bang.
I did
Ding,
some
ding, ding.
research.
It's actually 8, Arwen.
I did some research. I read some stuff about how we actually know what's in the earth, and we know because things like earthquakes create seismographic waves, so we can sort of tell, analyzing those, certain like density of what's in the earth. And then aside from that, there's geological things that bring rocks and crap that's farther down than we can drill up to the surface. So I mean, there is ways other than drilling down to see what's underneath the Earth's crust. And Arwen is right that the core of the Earth is too warm to create the magnetic shield around the Earth. So they have this theory that there's this ringwoodite rock that's full of water, and I think it's something in the water, like iron or something, that creates the magnetic shield. So I just read that, so I thought it was interesting anyways.
That they really came up with that recently, because that's the first time I've heard of it.
Yeah, I think it's a new theory. I was reading it in
They keep on bringing in those band-aids, don't they?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah, thanks,
Pete.
Pete.
Every time people
Sorry,
catch
Pete.
up to how science
Hold on.
works.
I
It's
just want to ask P where I actually read it. Did you say you read it in thenewscientist.com?
Yeah.
I like The New Scientist. Cool, thanks.
Well, I mean, even plate tectonics has a couple holes in it. They say that, magma squirting through the ground somehow makes land, but that's like toothpaste squirting through sheets of metal and somehow having the strength to push apart the metal. So how is it that plate tectonics can account for this? And also these masses of land, which have miles and miles of foundation underneath the earth, how would they move past each other at all? I mean, there are problems with plate tectonics, and if you go into videos that are critical about plate tectonic theory, they tell you about some of the holes that are in plate tectonics themselves. It might be that these bits of land might have broken open during the flood, and you might just be the remaining fault lines left over from when the fountains of the deep broke open, if you want to go with the biblical conception. But if you don't go with the biblical conception of flat Earth, it says that we're just bobbing up and down on the waters of the deep, and that there's just limitless ocean water underneath, further than we can even imagine. I mean, the main thing that you're seeing with the science and the way these scientists deal with it is they tend to have little faith unless they can see the mechanism by which it
Jesus
happens.
Christ, you were talking shit,
because,
my friend.
you have to see
He's pretty solid.
Sometimes you have to
bring biblical
Yes,
crap into
the
it.
knowledge has limits.
You were
We're not
talking
going to know everything. We're just
absolute
not.
bullshit.
We have to
So-
have faith after all.
No,
Anyway.
that's actually deep research. Our
Yeah, I
age is
agree.
doing all the
No, it's
stuff.
not. No, it's not.
Yes,
That's
it
a-
is.
That's
So,
a fairy
so
tale.
how they move
That is a
about, how
fairy
they slip
tale.
and slide.
Calling,
They
how
do
dare you
slip
call
and slide.
scientists the people that spend their lives studying things for their own enjoyment? How dare you rip
Just
on
furthering
scientists?
human
Yeah,
understanding.
you
They're
guys
all their
Uh,
lives, like 100-year study, and yet they had to recently bring out a new concept
How's
to
this
actually
someone?
explain how the
Do you know-
magnetic
do you know
field
what
of
I
the
think
Earth
about
worked,
you, my
because the
friend?
old
There
one
has
didn't
been
work.
You would love
introduced a new theory
Can I just
for
say
it.
something? Arwen. You, my friend, you hate scientists because you are too lazy to actually do a course. So you go on the internet and you figure out all your stuff and preach it to people.
Well, that also shows a tendency too, a tendency not to work things out to their full conclusion. You don't want to figure out the conclusion, so you stop and do an ad hom and you talk about how
Yeah,
this
thank
person
you.
makes science, as opposed to working out ideas to their full conclusion. If the Earth is bobbing
Thank
up and
you.
down on its pillars underneath the dome, that means that global warming really won't matter anyway, even if you
What the fuck
melt
am I
the
gonna do
ice
with
caps,
that?
because the land will just bob up to a higher level, and it's
Oh,
not
he's
going
gone
to
full.
because
conservative.
all the land's going to do is probably going to float anyway. Work these ideas out to their full conclusion, and if we're going to be fine, then why the heck are we having all
let's
this
bring
big
it back
stew
to
about global warming,
tectonics.
global cooling?
Let's
and then
let's bring it back to
it'll
tectonics.
just be like a greenhouse anyway. The plants will
Don't
be fine.
gish gallop. Don't gish
We
gallop.
live in a
It's fucking
scientific
dangerous.
dictatorship.
I thought it was really
Let's bring it back to the whole fucking plate tectonic, shall we?
Yeah, no swearing.
Sorry. I'm an Aussie, so I get it. Anyway, so Yeah, tectonics, right? So
Yeah, mate.
Have you studied-
You're not the only one.
Peppy, hold on. Natsek's been waiting for ages to get this question. Can you just let him?
Yeah, it's not really a question, but they do.
Oakley,
Baby, hold
be a
on.
moderator. It's your show.
Baby, hold on. So they do slip and slide under each other, and that's how you can equate for things like tsunamis and stuff like that, where they slightly not slightly, but one goes under the other, and then it will send a shock wave through the water, and that will produce, tsunamis and stuff like that. We've got it down to a T. We've got sensors all over the Earth and buoys and satellites and all different types of things to detect that type of thing, to give advance warnings, right? Plate tectonics is solid. AF.
No, it's not.
Language. Yes, it is.
You got all these sensors everywhere. The plate tectonics has really not a lot to do with it. It's still theoretical.
They operate under
Hey, Macro, how you doing?
Work.
No, they just know the specific, what they call break
Macro?
lines as to where the typical earthquake activity appears. That is all they know.
So what causes tsunamis in your
Well, usually sudden shift explosions, that type of thing, large displacements.
Yeah.
And they happen at these points, at these fault lines, as they call them. But that doesn't actually prove that they are plates that are moving over each other. That is the theoretical part about it.
Disruption as opposed to like a big plate.
Maybe it's like causing it. I'm asking Alwyn. So Alwyn, if it's not, because I mean, say for example, I mean, you got it down almost there, but you're just not willing to accept its plates, right? Basically, massive plates of Earth. So, what else would it be if not plates slowly shifting and dipping and over each other and all that type of fun stuff, right?
I thought the explanation that R-Rave gave was pretty good, really.
All right, then Rave, go for it.
It's just if it would be like a floating thing on top of water. I'm not saying that it is that. Well, like a turning, a floating motion that would cause tension in certain regions as it would be moving, and that could be the cause of what they call then tectonic shifts. But it would not be because plates are moving over each other on some molten core. It would just be movement of the entire Earth.
What caused
on top of all that water would create incredible amounts of pressure and heat automatically by its sheer mass. So some of this stuff can't be explained. You could even get into some of the weirder theories where maybe hell is down there and hell is hot. Who knows? It's a bit of a mishmash in some ways. But let's not close off avenues of exploration because of anti-God fervor or the need to be so materialistic and naturalistic and deny the supernatural or at least other theories.
Rave, so what is lava then? Because I mean you're trying to posit basically it's water under there.
Molten rock.
Water melted by extreme pressure and
extreme
pressure of the landmass on all of the water and stuff down there. I guess I don't know. Maybe it's heated up by some other mechanism I don't know about. I don't know.
Yes, so it could be. Coil induction.
Water. Hold on. Why does take away the water and then have the stuff that makes up lava, the molten rock and so forth as is, and that instead of it being earthing one actual solid mass all the way through, it's
no, but according to the globe theory, that's not the case. It's not
globe theory is irrelevant. This is irrelevant.
Yeah,
it's
irrelevant.
We're talking about plate tectonics.
Really?
Yes.
You're mashing up your theory.
No.
Yes, you're.
I'm sure tectonic plates only work on a globe. How do tectonic plates work on a flat map? Arwen, can you please answer that?
Well, as you just said, if they're just pieces of landmass connected, and there is some pressure because of imbalance, because of movement, then that pressure, if the landmass, the total depth of everything, and the total pressure would be extreme enough, then yeah, that could cause enormous
Basically-
pressure and friction,
No,
and
it
that is
fucking
known to
couldn't.
cause a lot of heat.
No, it couldn't.
But it could
Please
also
don't
be
swear.
a form
You
of
just
coil
fucked yourself
induction
up
caused
there.
by a magnetic source, for example.
Alwyn, it seems
I
you're
theorized
basically
about that.
on the edge of
No, it
accepting
doesn't
plate
work on a flat
tectonics.
Earth. Plates don't work on a flat Earth.
Well, I mean, it's irrelevant of the shape of the
How
Earth.
do you know?
Because-
How do you even know they
Hold
wouldn't
on,
work?
it's
on a flat
irrelevant
Earth?
the shape of the Earth.
It's
specifically
called
on
logic.
plate tectonics.
No, it's
But
not
it's a-
logic at all.
You are literally making that up off your ass just in that comment.
No,
basically,
I'm not. No,
Yes, you are.
tectonic plates could work perfectly fine on a flat
maybe
Earth.
it's irrelevant.
Okay, so
but
how?
Alwyn,
Because
on
things
the
have to
edge.
be moving because of heat, because of the power
Motion.
beneath.
Motion.
Okay, all right, okay, motion. All right, look, can you explain that? All right, motion.
Well, perhaps,
Plates,
I mean,
tectonic
if the Earth
plates work.
I'll let
on a flat
Arif
Earth.
explain.
How does that work?
Okay.
Please,
If
please.
the Earth has an electrical nature, maybe there's some sort of electromagnetic thing that is melting rock. Electroplating activity could possibly melt some of the metals inside of the Earth and lead to molten rock, possibly if there's great electrical activity happening, couldn't it?
Ha, yes,
Well,
Arif.
so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
just
That's the
a
induction
possible
coil
mechanism.
theory. I actually made a hangout about
So,
that.
so,
What our
but
volcanoes,
that's
that it
explaining
could
how
be
you get
induction
altered-
coil-like effect
Hold
in
on, hold on.
specific regions that could heat up the metals in the Earth, taking the rock and everything with it, causing points of pressure because of the heating up through induction coil magnetism, and that could then create
You're
local
basically
volcano pockets
accepting-
of pressure.
Oh, you're basically accepting plate tectonics at this point. Basically, you've got electricity instead doing this thing, right? And it's
No, I'm
melting
just
good-
pointing
yeah,
out
good
possibilities.
point,
There's
good
several
point.
It's
You just got
possibilities.
Arwen.
and then basically
got it.
now it's plate tectonics because you admit there's fault lines, you admit there's shifting and so forth, and there's movement there. You're admitting
No,
all
but
that,
all
which
the
is key.
shifting-
Hold on, which is key of plate tectonics. But now instead, as I've just said, instead of but just heat and pressure and other things causing the melting pot and the cores and so forth. Now it's electricity. Cool, it's electricity. Prove it, but beside the point, now you've got this massive melting bubbly rock, and now you've still got plate tectonics.
Good shit.
No.
Around
Yes,
Earth has
It's both possibilities.
Yes,
Could
motherfucker.
either be either. We're not saying, oh my God, it has to be this one damn thing because that is what our scientism model dictates. We're actually exploring possibilities in how this could
Here's the thing,
work.
though. You need when you want to explore possibilities, you need the research, bro. You do.
I do.
You don't have that.
I did.
research
That's how I
funding.
came up with these ideas.
Yeah, research funding that isn't available to flat earthers because they're
Google.
pushing the round Earth paradigm.
Google.
It's going to be an uphill battle, but like you
Google.
said, you got to get some research.
Google on Googling on YouTube. So 5 minutes of Googling or 5 minutes of YouTubing is not research. When I'm saying research, I mean actual geologists and the science of the fields that deal with that type of thing, right? And that's what I'm talking about. Actually get a degree in these fields.
I don't
and
need to
actually
get a
do the
degree. I
research.
can look at their work perfectly fine, and
You're
the
ignoring the
conclusion
work.
you would get from that is that they do a lot of field work and measurements, and they just have their measurement. They just have what they have scanned through equipment, modern equipment these days, like
Then
sound
you
scanning
cannot
of
looking
the
at
Earth,
literature.
and just how the matter is in that specific location. And
You're
that's
clearly
it.
not looking
And
at the
where they then
research.
have to continue if they want to globify it, if they want to make it about the entire world, then it goes into the field of theory.
And also, this
Do you
level
know
of
what
analysis from
You
the
know what
outside.
theory means?
And they,
In
any
science?
honest scientist, any honest geologist will admit this.
But this
Do you know
level
what
of analysis,
When
theory
you bring
means
in
in
the big
science?
picture, you have to go into theory because they
Yeah,
can't physically
because
prove it
theory-
is like that.
Theory
They
accumulates
just
all
can
the knowledge
prove what they
in the field.
actually measure in the field, and that is all.
No, they do. Theory is the accumulation of all that work that they've done, basically. Like cancer, like germ theory, gravity, and so forth. Those are theories. It's the accumulation of all that knowledge that they've done.
but that's
It's the
accumulation of
pinnacle.
knowledge. But that's an accumulation of the amount of knowledge that they'll allow to be compiled about it more than anything. And especially when things have been hidden.
How about, Aero, if you get a degree in X field and then go out and do research? Good luck trying to get a grant because they will think you're crazy, but hey, try and do that research because they won't. Yeah, I mean, trust
me, you get it. If you were to prove everyone wrong, you get can't swear, sorry, you'd get a
that's
Nobel
not
Prize.
how it works in this world.
Yes, it is.
No, it doesn't. If you
get
go
awarded-
against too many people with too much power, then you will be excluded because you will
No.
destroy their power base. That is how it
No,
works.
you
Yes,
get-
that is
you
how
get-
it works.
If you look
When
at
you go
almost
against the
every
grain
person
too
who's
much,
got a
you
Nobel
don't
Prize,
contribute what is
every
already in
single
place
time
in
they've
power.
shed
You will
more
be
light
Come on, one at a time.
field than
You will be
One at a time, one at a
excommunicated.
time.
That's
You can't hear anything.
incorrect.
No one can hear anything you're saying because you're all talking at the same time.
Yeah, Owen, you're incorrect. If you look at every single person who's got a Nobel Prize, for example, and that's just the cream of the crop that's got that award, right? They've been awarded for making quite a big buzz, quite a big discovery in X field. They get awarded for it. They don't get shunned. The people
No,
that
but
get
that's
shunned
actual
are
field
the
measure.
people.
That's
the
okay, as
people
long
that
as you
get-
don't
the
draw any
people-
conclusions from
the
it that
people-
breaks with the narrative.
I'm not even finished. The people that get excommunicated are people that make fraudulent papers, that steal other people's work, that the ethics are called into question, and so forth. These people are the ones that get in the deep. I don't know if I can say the word, because it might be classified as a swear word to you guys, but the deep.
Now that's
excrement.
That's official. Like that's basically when they commit fraud. Yeah, that is like that's in your face. They will actually say, okay, this guy committed fraud, but if somebody just brings in data and brings out a theory that's not in line with, well, for example, the globe, they will be allowed to produce. They'll just not get any attention, and they'll just disappear in this corner of a library where nobody hears of it again, unless they go searching for it specifically. That's another form of
understand from
that's another form of excommunication. Is just silencing you,
I can
putting you in the
understand
corner.
from a conspiratorial standpoint of where you're coming from, but reality begs to differ. If I produce a paper,
Well, they did it, for example,
to
to the medicinal workings of silver and colloidal silver when they wanted to introduce antibiotics in the early 20th century. It was it was broad knowledge that silver was antibacterial, but then the Rockefeller Foundation spent millions and millions to erase that from medical knowledge to replace it with antibiotics. That's how it works.
Elements do not do not discriminate.
No.
If I was to give you mercury, it will go for everything. It won't go after a specific virus, fungus, and so forth. It'll go for everything.
I'm gonna have to stop you there. Bacteria are genetically programmed to take in certain factors, certain proteins, certain structures. If a bacterium is genetically wired to, say, take in more colloidal silver than, say, a human, then it would preferentially go after the bacteria anyway, based off of the way that they're made.
No,
and
it weren't the elements. You're talking about.
We need to know that.
You're talking about the receptors based on X bacteria and so forth, right? But the elements themselves, are just elements. They'll go to any other cell and so forth and do what they do, right?
But that's a paradigm. That might be a limiting paradigm. Let's research it. There might be more to it. That's all I'm saying, and that's why I try to take you seriously when you say trust these scientists when they've been shown to have an agenda and to be untrustworthy. The very spirit
because they know the interactions between cells much more than you ever could. Much more than you ever
that's
could.
all. That is mumbo jumbo.
That's the
no,
case.
That is mumbo jumbo. Silver, colloidal silver, does not have any negative side effects ever. While antibiotics has been known to have negative side effects, especially on the flora in your intestines. It actually degrades their quality, making you more susceptible over the long run for diseases, allergies, all that type of thing. Colloidal silver doesn't do that. It never did that. They knew that. And they had to remove it from the medical system to get their antibiotics going because they wanted the profit. And colloidal silver is not very profitable. It's very easy to make. It's relatively cheap. You can't patent it. And that's why they did that. And that's how it actually works.
And the thing is, it's a sick care industry now because they got to make money for these labs, money for this equipment and stuff like that. And so the money is in keeping you just healthy enough to be sick and giving you pills to mask symptoms and stuff like that, as opposed to giving you dynamic more permanent health with high nutrition, high fiber, high vitamin therapy, and not the synthetic junk that they use, that they derive from oil derivatives. Real vitamins from nature, put into plants and filtered through plant sources that your body can use and assimilate. And so the thing is, the medical industry has no sort of incentive to make people healthy at all. It's just they won't make any money. You know, go get you a good garden and good soil with some good nutrients. You know, occasional brush fire or something like that, or a volcanic eruption to put stuff back into the soil. Let it lie fallow, don't farm it, and you'll be fine.
There's so much wrong with this. For example, pharmaceutical companies, they celebrate off-patient numbers, right? So, for example, I plan to work at Roche for a number of years because I am a lab tech and I deal with medicine. I did plan to work at Roche because they're a fantastic biomedical company. Their facilities are beautiful. The funding is beautiful times 10. Anyway, so call that bias if you will. I don't care at this point. So no, they don't. The people I work with, they care about the patients and so forth. We're always going to have people that are sick. So we're always going to get money in that sense. But when you give people medication, you actually celebrate off-patient numbers because that shows to everyone else, the shareholders, that shows to the patients and so forth that your stuff works. So if they get sick again, or if their family, friends, whatever gets an illness, for example, that, hey, this fucking, so I can't swear, that worked for me and fantastic, right? They celebrate off-patient numbers. We're always going to have people that get sick. But the very fact, right, despite all the medications
the only people who reason get sick is using it
and so forth. Hold on, remember, the first thing you do, the first thing you do when you find a cancer is they cut it out. They don't give you medication, first and foremost. Second, once you give you that medication, oh, fuck, I'm going to have a cancer. I want to call it back to, I'm going to go down that path.
But what are you reading it?
No, I just want to go down that path of how to treat cancers. But yeah, point of the matter is that they celebrate.
I can hear you scrolling. Man. I can hear you scrolling on your mouse.
I'm not scrolling.
Yeah, you
Well,
are.
the thing is, you know, pharmaceuticals are derived from plants anyway. So why don't we break this paradigm where it has to come from a biochemical company before you can call it medicine? Just go straight to the freaking plant. This doesn't make any freaking sense. The only advantage that biomedical companies have over the plant is that they can hyper-concentrate it and make it in a more powerful dose. But even that comes with problems because now your country has now your kidneys have to hyperfiltrate this incredibly concentrated substance that may wreak havoc on the body in ways we can't even imagine once we remove the fiber, remove the cofactors, in the interest of trying to patent the very thing.
Slow down.
Yes, the plant form it's more naturally absorbed.
First and foremost, when you
do you guys like apple pie? Is there iron in apple pie?
Before you do that though, so once
there's iron in apples, yeah.
Once they do discovery of a drug candidate and so forth, be it in a plant or whatever have you, they'll then see if they can modify it to become increasing sensitivity, reactivity, and so forth, right? They can modify them. We've got a number of examples of that. For example, one that they're looking at more recently is, of course, THC. It's a very
Hey, Farce. Hey, Face. Can you hear us? Hold on 1 second. Can you say hello, Face?
Hello.
Good to have you. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
THC is a very paradoxical drug candidate. It can say some people say they want to have hyperemesis, right? It'll cause hyperemesis. If they want it to help them out for amnesia, they can get hyperemesis. It can be vasoconstrictive, but also a dilator, right? It's very paradoxical. So if they can modify the compound itself to not have those effects, then they will go for that. Biomolecules aren't the be-all and end-all. They can modify them.
So we have approximately 25 minutes left, maybe a bit less on this live stream. Hope you're enjoying the debate thus far. If you'd like to join the panel, simply mute the page you're currently watching, then click the link in the info box to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you'd like to support this channel, as They Lie Ohio and Sleeping Warrior have done, thank you very much to both of you. Simply hit the super chat, which runs alongside the show while it's live, or if you're watching this on a re-upload, there is a link in the info box below the video. Please share the show, as sharing the show increases the live audience, which in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you are new to the channel or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. As I say, there is approximately 25 minutes left on this live stream.
You got that down pat, Nathan.
I was waiting for you to get to
whole
the end of your little bit.
No,
I've
he
been
said
waiting
it so many
6
times.
minutes.
Yeah.
It's finding the right gap.
I'm actually good at that. But
The thing is, we got. I apologize for interrupting. Sorry, but the thing is, we got to fight the spirit to not take things to their logical conclusion and talk about the unintended consequences of theory, and even with these medical theories.
Hello.
You know, especially when you deal with ideological
Hello.
rounders. Even hey, what up? How you doing?
Hey, Altering, how you doing? Can you hear us?
Hey, so I was wondering if you guys have, I don't know if you talked about this yet today, but did you guys ever watch videos on the volcanoes being hoaxes and not being real? Just wondering.
Are you guys ever going to talk about flat Earth? I'm sorry. Like the silver and volcanoes being the pimple on the ball and stuff. Like, it says flat Earth debate in the thing. So I was just wondering, like, for the last week, I've been trying to ask you guys if you'd looked into the microwave transmission, that world record that was set over water. And everyone seems to be dodging it because Mick West hasn't fully addressed it yet.
Yeah, I've looked into it.
Anyone talking about that at all?
Sure, I've looked into it.
Yeah, can we let hey, Nathan, can you speak for a little bit? Can you answer his question?
What about the point-to-point transmission that's several hundred kilometers?
Right, yeah. 147 miles over water. Microwave transmission, straight line of sight.
Okay, I mean, the way I would... The reason...
elevation on both sides. Like,
it's about 50 feet, isn't it?
That be it?
50 feet, yeah. Correct? Yeah, the problem is that if you look into some of the claims that these companies make, you start to find yourself looking into the question of line of sight, whether you have direct line of sight, indirect line of sight, and these companies will claim that they can get a connection at some phenomenal distances in terms of how far they can actually physically connect and say that each transmitter is communicating with each other, but whether or not they can actually transfer data at those distances is a totally different matter. So when I looked into it, the first place I found myself looking was into line of sight, and you can have these connections work without direct line of sight, but when you have indirect line of sight, as they call it, you can't transmit data. So yeah, they've been doing it for years, claiming these huge distances, but that's just like being able to ping it. It's not like you can actually send any data across that connection. So to me, it's a bit fallacious to assert that as a flat Earth proof, unless they were transmitting data along it, which they're not.
Okay, so what is the connection then if they can't transfer data? What?
Right, it's a microwave connection, meaning it must travel in a straight line.
Okay, sure, I guess. But
and data propagation is affected by different things. Like data dissipates over great distances anyway, no matter if it's straight or not.
Why are we talking about data though?
We would need to
again if it's a microwave connection.
Sure, like I say, when I've looked into it, you can have an indirect line of sight with these connections.
So it can bend around like objects, but typically a wave would. So wave can move around
Nathan,
things just
I'm
like
pretty
sound.
sure someone just gave you a super chat. Can you congratulate them or do your thing, or have you gotten too big to yell at that someone gave you money?
Don't get all cocky, dude. He did actually
I'm not
make
getting
mention of
cocky.
that. Yeah, you are.
Well, I didn't hear. I'm being cocky.
We could give him a Flatty Award, but I guess the next level, like you say, is just
No,
lots of
I
logic.
don't think he did, but I'd like to stick on that subject, maybe.
Well, I mean, well, the next level is dealing with the spirit of these people that will still be in opposition despite facts. And dealing with the spirit, you can see how the spirit that operates in these people with certain things, going back kind of off topic to the medical industry to show that they don't really care about the impact of what they're doing on other people as long as they get to push their paradigm. They stop analyzing these things at a certain level, and everything else be damned with flat Earth, with medical Earth, or whatever, and they don't bring out these ideas to their full logical conclusion. How would bendy light work? Not just with bendy refracting light to explain the curvature of the Earth, but the curvature on a moving Earth. If you have a bendy refracting light on an Earth that's spinning, you would have shimmering, you would have constantly shifting images because the Earth would rotate 1,000 miles in an hour, and that bendy refracted image would be on the other side of the planet right now, or shimmering. People don't work these things out. And it's the same thing with medical stuff and all this other stuff. So you got to deal with that spirit too, even if you put out facts. And when you're doing a spiritual battle, that's on a totally different level.
Yeah, good shit, man. And can I hear Arwen reply to that?
Sorry?
Why do you keep making reference to spirits, though?
No, don't drag away from what he just said. Arwen, can you please respond to what he said?
There was a lot of interference.
You didn't hear interference.
Sorry, Arif, can
You
you...
were a classic.
Oh, I was basically saying that with bendy refracting light, like you have as one of the Band-Aid theories in the globe model.
Oh, yeah.
They use bendy refractive light to explain the curvature of the Earth. Okay, fine. At that level of analysis, that's fine, but you have to work it out even further to work it with a revolving Earth. What a bendy refractive light with a revolving Earth would equal a shimmer, would equal a glistening shimmer, and you'd have constantly reflecting, changing images because the light would also be spinning around, changing with the Earth spinning and stuff. People don't work these things out. That's not what we see.
When you
Absolutely.
say Band-Aid
And
theory,
yeah, no, I can reply to that. The thing is, if light would bend in curves, then it would not just you wouldn't see a perfect image just like it were. The more displacement of light, the more refraction happens, the more fractured it basically becomes. So it doesn't make any sense. The refraction, the reality is that there's only a basic amount of refraction. It just happens. It's one turn. It doesn't keep on bending. Refraction doesn't work that way. It just works in one way. There's one point where it starts to really refract. There you get to see where it bends upwards, and that's it. It always is a straight line from there on. It doesn't. Refraction does not cause cumulative drop.
well, when you say Band-Aid theory, could it be just the fact that the field or the issue you're taking up has a more complex answer than you originally thought?
No, it's called a Band-Aid theory because the way to fix it, to actually get your model to work, is much more elaborate than the just straightforward conclusion of very basic principles. That's why it's a Band-Aid, because it's bleeding. Your theory is bleeding in half. You have to get very complicated to make it work again. That's why it's a Band-Aid.
You could think of it as bleeding if using a very simple outlook, but if it's more detailed...
No, it's not simple at all. Have you actually checked out the formulas? Have you checked them out?
Arwen, I'm saying your argument is so simplistic, yet the answers in reality is very complex. And so when someone gives you an actual response, elaborating on such detail, or just covering up with another Band-Aid, right? Don't you see how that works?
Yeah, I see exactly how it works, because it is a Band-Aid. We got a very straightforward theory of optics, how it actually works. It's very simple. It seems to work. You don't have to bring in extremely complicated formulas to account for the lack of cumulative drop that you get to see. You don't have to twist optics into all kinds of directions. It's much more simple this way. It works. It always works. The globe
I think
theory,
it's simple
the globe
to the
theory
people that
optics,
actually know
it
the
doesn't
reality of
work. It
things.
gets increasingly complicated. The more complicated, the further you go. It's still riddled with holes. It becomes so
Oh,
complicated
but that's the thing, though.
that
You
people
think it's
lose
complicated. It
oversight, and
seems,
this is the scientism trick. It
it
becomes so
seems to be
complicated that everybody no
argument.
longer understands it, and they just give up.
Owen, it seems to be an argument of ignorance that you're employing because, well, it's incredibly complex, and you're saying it's simple and so forth. But if they give you a more complex answer in those details, which is very important as to why you'd be wrong, right? Then that's not just a band-aid. That's shining further light into
that's not
detail
how that
you
works.
require,
It's a
that you were
band-aid because
ignorant.
you can give
You
a
think
more
it's
complex.
Band-Aids
You
because
can
you
give a
think
more
you would've-
complex explanation, and they say it works. But
you
then we
think-
actually figure out what you're saying. We actually check out those formulas, and it doesn't really work.
You know,
Just gets more
your
holes. We
ignorance is
find
an
more holes. You keep
You've
on
never
working
found a
on that
hole.
band-aid, but
You've
you're not
never
going to stop
found a
the
hole.
bleeding.
You've never
Because
found a hole.
our formula works. It's completely
doesn't.
tight. Your
People that
formulas
do-
don't work, and they all rely on their
Here's the
complexity to discourage people from actually looking into them.
Your argument is simply an assertion, and that's irrelevant. So, for example, we know snipers, we know guys in the artillery and so forth calculate the Earth's curvature and so forth, and they use
Oh
what?
my God.
Optics.
No, you don't. You dummy.
Okay,
Yes, they do.
so sorry
You're a
about that microwave thing. Are we disputing the world record that was set, or the technology, or the claims that were made for the technology? Because again, you guys are just kind of like, oh yeah, they could have done it this other way, but you guys usually tend to agree with most of Google's top results when it comes to things, and I would assume a Guinness Book record would be one of those things that you would agree with, right? So, what are we?
What?
Yeah, I'm going off this bendy band-aid and whatever the hell you guys are talking about right now. Just for a second before I drop, I just want to know what the word is and why no one's interested in this in the line of sight microwave link, which is a world record.
That's out of my area, so I won't speak to it.
No, it's pretty good. It's good. It's good stuff. It
Yeah,
does
it'd be
prove
cool
a
if you
direct
guys could
line of
maybe
sight.
spend a
It does
show doing
prove
that,
a
you
lack
know
of
what I mean?
curvature.
And then, yeah.
But yeah, we were talking about optics, and he's now complaining about how we call it the band-aid theory. And I explained to him exactly why it is a band-aid theory, and it just
And I explained
he
how it's
wants to
flawed
just
too, so-
reduce it back to just, oh, you're just doing this stupid little thing. But no, it's not. I explained it in detail why it
And
is
I
a band-aid theory.
detail.
Because your
Giving
theory just
detail
keeps on
is
showing
false.
holes when you actually get into them.
You thinking it's showing holes is irrelevant because then someone
Yeah, all right, you guys have a good day.
in
Thanks,
X
Face.
field will shed more light and more detail in that area. You think, oh, it's just bad, it's just a cover up. But no, that detail explains away your point, that gotcha thing from your simplistic model.
Yeah,
that
but
you're
our
doing.
simplistic model actually works. That's the whole thing.
Also
And it
because the
stays
others
simple.
now-
We don't have to add on new theories, new formulas, new band-aids to make it work. It just keeps on working in its simplicity. And your formulas do not. They have to be expanded upon.
I'll interrupt right there. So this guy's just said the flat earth doesn't work while Arwen's explaining about band-aid theory, so I'll elaborate on that using a specific example of the Isle of Man shock horror. So, even Sly Sparkane didn't understand that the entire island is looming by their definition. Now this looming essentially means that everything, as Arwen has just explained, is coming up further and further from around the drop, from around the curve of the earth, to meet your eye line on the horizon and represent itself perfectly as though it was on a flat plane. Now what you have to get around that insignificant detail, according to you, is a band-aid theory called refraction, which works its way around the fact that what we see and what we are presented with is and can be calculated on a flat plane. To get around that awkward detail, you have to apply a band-aid.
So if we've got something that accounts for that, that's also in the band-aid, you have to then discredit the refraction.
So yeah, saying that you account for something simply means that your model failed initially, whereas succeeded. So where we take straight lines and then simple trig calculations to work out the height and distance of anything on our model, and it works, not only works, it works with accuracy. You guys have to apply arc calculations to calculate anything on the vertical, because by definition everything in the picture is further and further and further around the curve. Therefore the fact that we see it means that it has been loomed up from varying degrees of drop to coincidentally present itself as though it was a flat plane. To get around that awkward detail, you apply a band-aid theory called refraction.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a bad theory, but even at that, I'm not familiar with the details of the Iron Man and so forth. I mean, I've been watching you guys back and forth at it, and apparently you guys haven't been honest with your numbers and so forth. I won't speak to it because I have been following it in detail.
Oh no, that's no problem. I can fill you in. That's no problem at all. See, Anthony went to St Bees and he took a picture of the Isle of Man, and what he did was he modelled that into a 3D modelling program, and he did it in two ways. One was on a sphere, which completely and totally and utterly failed to represent the observation, and the other way was on a flat plane, where, as Arwin has pointed out to you on several occasions, it was a very, very simplistic model that didn't even need refraction applying to perfectly account for the observation. It seems like a funny coincidence that that same observation has got perfect maths with arc calculations from the globe side to count for the exact same thing. So the globe side seems to be able to count for flat Earth's observations with arc calculations.
You guys, when you guys mention the solar man and so forth, it seems you guys are heavily reliant on metabunk, and that's a form and so forth. There's a calculator on there. But if you guys could use, I don't know if there is one, but something from like a university or something with a bit more credibility than Metabunk of all things.
We don't use Metabunk. Sorry, what are you talking about? Metabunk? No. So we had someone who came on called Philip. He didn't use Metabunk calculations. He modelled it on both a flat plane and a curved Earth, admittedly an orthographic view only. But what he pointed out and detailed to the audience was there was absolutely no necessity whatsoever to model the observation on a flat plane using refraction. You guys had incredibly complicated maths to account for what we see. Now, it just so happens that that complicated maths is capable of working out what we see as being a flat plane representation, and also coincidentally measures as a flat plane representation. It seems very, very suspicious that the globers would have very careful and complex arc calculations to be able to account for pictures that seem to represent themselves as though they've been taken on a flat plane. It seems that taking pictures that look like they've been on a flat plane is so common that you've got the maths down pegged on the globe side. Wouldn't you say that's a funny coincidence?
I'm not familiar with maths,
really,
so
because you're wrong about most things you say.
Before that guy came on yesterday or the day before, which I was in, the globe, I want to say.
You guys
with
are
the ray tracing and all that. You guys before that were using Metabunk, and if you guys could use something else with a bit more credibility to it, that'll be better because it's on Metabunk.
So I'll say it one more time. What we've used Metabunk for is because it's related to the model we're trying to debunk. It's not our maths, it's your maths. Yeah? The sphere of the Earth is set in stone in terms of how big you idiots think it is.
But what I'm saying is, how do you know that Metabunk's calculations and so forth, its algorithms are actually correct?
We don't, and we don't assert they are because it's not our model that they're trying to support. It's not our model that we think that those numbers apply to. It's yours.
But actual academics wouldn't be using
what happened to
Metabunk.
St. Bees?
So what part of that don't you understand? We're using it against your model and your assertions.
But people in the actual field don't employ and use Metabunk. Metabunk's a forum for different things, right? And just the fact you've got a calculator on there doesn't mean it's used by actual academics, guys at NASA, ESA, whatever the European one is, the Russian one, the Chinese one, and so forth, right? I'm talking about the actual, something more substantive, got credibility behind it, being accurate than Metabunk. Surely there's got to be one.
Yeah, so we use Blender and actually programmed in the exact circumference and dimensions of the sphere you believe you live on, and then referenced this image against the sphere using the dimensions that are set in stone. You understand that, right?
Wouldn't use Metabunk.
If you have a problem with Metabunk, why don't you bring a better source
for
globe formulas? Bring in a better source for globe formula, because that is what we were using it for, not for
Seems we all have a
flat
problem with
formulas.
Metabunk. The globers have a problem with Metabunk. The flat earthers have a problem with Metabunk. Everyone hates Metabunk, it seems.
Well, I just it's Metabunk.
Yes, it's a load of old rubbish. Nobody needs to be using this rubbish website. Don't bother using Metabunk. The Globers agree it's a load of old nonsense.
No, they probably don't. I don't know. I'm saying I'd rather use them with a bit
You got
more.
a better source for your formulas then?
That's what I was asking if there was one, like an actual, something like attached to like a university or something, or like NASA or something like that, instead of again Metabunk.
Oh wow! So NASA. So you would rather us use a NASA model? So something like Google Earth, which was created from STS-99, I do believe. So should we use Google Earth?
Sorry.
NASA were the people who surveyed the terrain, apparently, during STS-99. So are you saying we should use Google Earth?
Don't even know what STS-99 is.
Yeah, that's when they got all the data together for the information that has now been passed on to Google Earth to give us that particular piece of software.
Is that a satellite or
you just keep asking me questions. So should I just accept that Google Earth is correct because it's a NASA source? They use NASA data, so should I just accept that? Because a lot of Globers have a problem with that too.
Is it? Oh, if you should use NASA, of course you should use ESOL or the European one. All those guys all agree on this and be vastly superior to a Metabunk calculator. But
Right.
the TSS.
So why is it that your cohorts, why is it that other Globers tell us that Google Earth isn't to be used in that way? Even though they sell it as pro packages and people use it all the time for this very purpose. But nonetheless, why are we told by your compadres that we shouldn't be using Google Earth? If you're saying that we should pay attention to NASA and NASA's data, well, NASA's data went into Google Earth, did it not?
I don't know if they're accurate or not. I can't speak to it. I'm ignorant on it. But I'm getting to you with the Metabunk thing. I'll say
Metabunk's not my numbers. I don't believe we live on a sphere. Metabunk means nothing to me other than to debunk your model and show you what you think should happen on a sphere.
I think I would say is that you're arguing Globers, the online ones, right? If they heavily rely on Metabunk, then okay, cool beans, use that. But there's an echelon above those people, like above me and the layperson, that work at NASA, work at ESA, and so forth. They actually do these very complicated math and so forth, right? Not using Metabunk.
So what you're saying is go and trust somebody else and their measurements and their data. Well, I'm saying we've gone and got our own data and done our own calculations and done our own measurements. And the conclusion from that data, those measurements, that information, is that the world is obviously and observably flat. We've also discovered along the way that when you're presented with a truly flat plane representation of our world, the maths is in place to explain how it's a curve, even though it's obviously and observably and measurably flat. So this is a very interesting journey that we're going along in terms of finding out exactly how people like NASA, who you are happy to just go and trust, have actually co-opted true flat plane maths into art calculations to account for the fact that it's actually sphere, even though we see it as unequivocally and observably and measurably flat. And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the people who have supported this show in this instance and for tuning in and sharing the show. If you've not done so already, be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. Also a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. I've been Nathan Oakley and I will see you all in the next video.